House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says he could subpoena Kamala Harris as they probe Biden's mental decline, as he calls out Biden's former spokesman, Ian Sams, for admitting he rarely spoke with the former president.
He saw Joe Biden, talked to Joe Biden 2 times, the entire stint as White House spokesperson. But yet he would every day tweet and issue statements from the podium of the White House, you know, combating everything that we were doing in the Oversight Committee with respect to the investigation.
Yet, despite so few meetings, Ian Sams continued to defend Biden up until the days before he dropped out of the 2024 election.
The gratuitous remarks that the former Attorney General talked about have naturally caught headlines and all of your attention. They're wrong and they're inaccurate.
I think also on this issue of the memory, it's been selectively chopped up and edited and sent around because of the confusing way that report was written.
There is no case here. The president is innocent, and that was the conclusion of this case.
When I deal with him, he's sharp, he's asking tough questions, and he's speaking, I think maybe most importantly, speaking passionately about what matters to him.
Here to discuss is Fox News contributor and New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. You know, it's so kind of amazing to watch that again now, knowing all that we know now. Ian Sams works for the American people. He's not a political appointee. And when he sits here and says, when I deal with him, he's sharp as a tack, that's a pretty grave lie.
It is, and it's really, in hindsight, quite astonishing to see the lie so bare, to see Ian Sams exposed there. I mean, he met the president twice, he told James Comer. It's just unbelievable that he could stand there in front of the American people and just bald-faced lie. And I think James Comer is quite within his rights to be calling these people. He's now threatening to call Kamala Harris, and I think he absolutely should. As Vice President, no one was more pivotal than she was in refusing to invoke the 25th Amendment against a president who was quite clearly, now we see, the more we see, just not capable of fulfilling his presidential duties, at least for part of his presidency. And Kamala Harris was as close as anyone in Biden's inner sanctum, maybe apart from Jill Biden. Joe Biden used to boast about how they would have lunch together every day in the little dining room off the Oval Office, although apparently it was a once-a-week lunch. Right. And it petered out after about a year. But she still was with him at every public event, and she was in a very good position to see his decline firsthand.
Why is it so important that Comer continue this investigation?
Well, I think now the public has seen that they were lied to, and I think in such an important case where the power of the presidency may have been usurped by people, shadowy people behind the scenes, people like the First Lady, like Hunter Biden, like the First Lady's work husband, as she called him, Anthony Bernal, and a handful of others who were well aware that Joe Biden was in no fit state, but continued the charade that he was. And we're talking about matters of life and death, of peace and war. And, just the Ukraine war, the incompetence with which that presidency carried out its duties tells you that this is an important issue that we need to know, because we must make sure it never happens again.
Also, while the Bidens have ridden off into the sunset, all of these other people that were around him and carrying out this mirage are still around and in politics. And, I would think that it's important to hold them accountable.
Yes, absolutely. Because, the founders put a very sensible fail-safe mechanism into the hands of the American people, and it was the 25th Amendment.
Right.
And that was there precisely for such a circumstance. It's hard to think of a more appropriate circumstance than the one that seemed to unfold
Right.
under Joe Biden. And it was up to Kamala Harris to pull the trigger. And for whatever reason, she didn't. So I think we need to know, was it even contemplated?
Right.
And why did they rule it out?
Right, indeed. Miranda Devine, thank you so much.
Thanks, Charlie.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.